in the reserve, bounce on the left-hand side, we're out of reserve. Okay. What it meant was that a whole bunch of people parked on the boundary, cast their lines into the reserve, and pushed the fish out. And that's essentially what they did. And the marine life out here didn't actually get any better. If anything, it actually got worse because of the increased fishing pressure around it. So in 1998 it got changed. It changed to what we have now, the 800 metres from every rock and every island. And since then, obviously there's been a huge increase in fish. The main one being the snapper. I'm sure you guys saw snapper today. Grey, silver guy, areas and blue spots. And then the main tame fish up here that you see any boats on the way home fishing, they're all trying to catch snapper. Now since people have stopped catching them out here, their population has come up 14 times. So every one snapper you used to see in 98, now it's 14. The average size has come up 30% as well. Fish getting bigger, fish getting much more numerous, and the only thing which has changed is humans have stopped fishing. So it really shows the impact that we're having on the marine environment. But also shows if you give the fish a little bit of time, a little bit of space, and they'll do their thing, they'll reproduce it, and come back and do their thing in the space.
That's where we just came from.
So innocuous.
You wouldn't even notice it.
What they do is when they lay their eggs, they just let them all up into the water columns. They're mutually buoyant, so they float around, and then what you've got is current, wind, waves, push those eggs away from the island, which settle off the coast, all down the Hauraki Gold, all over the place. So the eggs that come from the waterways don't necessarily catch here. It's actually seeding a very huge area just with the tiny little islands. Really quite smart. The recent study I read not long ago was that to produce the same amount of eggs as the Maori snapper egg produce takes over 360 kilometres of untouched coast. So that's a massive, massive chunk of coast just to produce the same amount of eggs as this tiny little single island. So it's really important that we have these lots around the country, and also around the world. Fishing all the time,
But I it's very hard to
actively looking after.
when you
So obviously anyone can come out to the marine reserve. We've got the shops over here, the trailer boats, all that sort of stuff. There's no concessions you have to pay or anything like that. The marine reserves for everyone. We would come out and see how the ocean's supposed to look like. So that's
when I know
if people aren't taking anything out or adding anything in, they're obviously more than welcome to come out. Then what we'll do is we'll go and go through the gap in the islands here, go through out onto the ocean side, and I'll tell you a bit of the history of the occupation of the islands.
And you found them all? Yeah. Well, you know what? So it was a satisfying week.
It's a day-to-day business.
Like,
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so
even
many
the tiniest little thing.
Oh, if you ever find you found it. One weed undetected becomes...
Not that I've heard of anyway.
7 years weeding, the old Adam is getting through.
3 days. One down here, one down here, one down this one of the smaller ones.
What's this down there?
Well, actually 2 days. No one runs around and goes to the mental. Yeah, go back on the boat with his absolutely yeah, plenty of people on the boat that can. Yeah.
Looks like a little bit better camping over there than mine.
It was pretty good mediation proposition. Obviously we're active every day, so for us to really
You've got a favourite, you found a favourite campsite.
There will be a place in there.
There's Cynthia taking a photo of Rosemary.
That's how nature reserve works. When people actually, they take it on as their own, and it is. It's mine, and it's yours.
It's really interesting.
We keep it going.
Oh, sorry.
That's a container ship.
Is it?
And it's over the horizon.
Oh,
Yeah, we're
yeah.
missing the hull. So you got the white bit at the back, I mean, all you're seeing is the containers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all its hull is actually below the horizon.
Yeah.
Just talking out the window, and then these guys can hear us well, I think.
Yeah.
Alright. I'll sort you out this way, then you can hear me. If you have a look off our right hand side, guys, you can see this nice big valley here. This is where the main village used to be for the Maori who lived on top of the islands. So you need to use your imagination a little bit. Imagine most of those trees were cut down. There was terrace gardens, so rock walls, where they were able to make level ground to grow their kumaras or their sweet potatoes. Down here on the shoreline, you had their canoes or their wakas pulled up on the shoreline there. A small fortified pa on the right hand side. So very, very different to what we see today. Between 200 and 300 people living up there. And if you look on the northern islands, like the left hand side, you can see there's a big flat top up there. That big tabletop, there was a Maori tribe which lived up there as well. But they were a more seasonal tribe up there. So in the winter time, there was maybe about 100 people. But then when all the birds came out here to nest, their numbers went up to about 400 people. So it was a pretty busy place in the height of summer back in the day. Now, the southern island here was the main island, obviously, and the chief who ruled over the islands, his name was Tatua. He was the president essentially, and he was pretty smart because he had traded with Captain Cook, and he got these pigs off Cook. And so what they did is they started breeding them up, and there's evidence to show that this sort of peninsula off our right-hand side, there's sort of some rock walls and stuff which suggest that this might have been the pig pen essentially. And so that's sort of, they had the run of that point. And what they would do is on nice calm days like today, mainland tribes would come paddling out, bring whatever they had, trade the islanders for their pigs. Because the islanders didn't have any, they didn't have big totras or kauri trees or anything, so they couldn't make their own canoes, so they had to trade, and these pigs were great barter. So a mainland tribe came out one day, his name was Chief Waikato, and he was from over near the Hokianga Harbour, where the Waikua Forest is on the west coast. Yep, so he walked from there over to Rafiti in the Bay of Islands, and then he paddled around Cape Rep all the way down here to the Port Islands. When he got here, he met up with old Tatua, and him and Waikato didn't really see eye to eye, and Waikato ended up going home empty-handed, which was a big, big insult. To come all the way out here, go to trade, get nothing, was a huge insult. So old Chief Waikato decided to get a bit of revenge on Tatua. But if you have a look around the islands as we cruise about, you'll see they're pretty much a castle in the sea. Right? There's no, apart from this little rocky shelf here, there's no real easy access. All they needed was a bit of swell, and then their whole island was defended. So very, very easy to defend this place. So old Chief Waikato had to wait for his chance to get revenge. And he waited for between 10 and 15 years, depending on who's telling the story, obviously. But he did get a chance for revenge, because what happened was Tatua left one day. He went down to the Auckland area, to do some raiding down there, trading on. I'm not too sure exactly what he was on about. But he made the mistake of when he left, he left the islands undefended. So he took all his fighting men and so left the islands undefended. And a slave escaped. His name was Paha. And he stole a small canoe. He paddled back to the mainland. And he knew about this bad blood with old Waikato and Tatua. So he went and told Chief Waikato, hey, now's your chance. You can come and get your revenge. And that's exactly what he did. He came out with all his warriors. He got up on top of the islands and he massacred everybody who was left behind. So all your women, children, elderly pretty much got wiped out. A few did survive, hid away in some caves, between sort of 5 and 10. A couple were taken slaves, and the rest were just packed up or eaten wherever they were. So, not a very nice time to be at the Port Island, as you can imagine. When Tata and his warriors returned, found the whole tribe was wiped out, they obviously didn't want to live out here anymore. So they abandoned the islands. And when they did that, they placed a tapu over them. So for those of you who don't know what a tapu is, it means it's sacred and that it has the energy of whatever's happened there. So essentially, obviously, the pretty bad stuff which happened up here. So it's kind of like a curse, I guess, in a really loose sort of state. So for that reason, no one's ever gone back up on the islands to live or harvest any food or anything like that. So it's been pretty much untouched since about 1822 or 1823 when the massacre happened.
I wonder what happened to the
So
pigs.
a lot of the Maori remains are still there. So you can still see the rock walls, you still see the little flints of obsidian, the volcanic glass which they used as the cutting tools. On this up in this valley as well, there's a nice big axe head. So you can imagine an axe head on a handle, on a wooden handle. When the massacre happened, they dropped it on the ground, the handle rots away, the stone head is still there just sitting underneath the leaves. So it really is like they just walked away from it. So it's pretty cool. The Northern Island has a great sort of you can see all the house sites where all the rock stones were built around the houses. The pa sites on the Northern Island are really good as well. So obviously human remains up there still as well. So it's a pretty special place for the local tribe and the local people. And then obviously because of all the nature side of it, it's obviously been pretty protected as well. So this southern island has had humans and pigs on them. The pigs were eradicated in the 1930s. The northern island has only ever had humans on it. It's never had any other mammal, which is quite unique in New Zealand. Most offshore islands we have now have had the pests and then been removed, whereas these islands have never had them. So it's a unique little spot of New Zealand in that sense. And obviously why they want to keep anyone off it, because if you did happen to take up a mice or a cat or something, take a little moggy up there and it runs away, you're causing a huge ecological disaster essentially for some species. And some of them which are endemic to the islands. So you could potentially wipe a species out and make them extinct, which is quite a serious sort of a thing to do. Now the Department of Conservation do go up there. They have a weed eradication program. So when you get wind or airborne seeds blowing out from the mainland, they go up there and pick them out each year. They also have a little bit of rodent control to make sure there's no rodents up there. So they take a little dog up there which is trained to sniff out mice and rats, and he goes and runs around the islands. They do that a couple of times each year just to make sure that there is nothing up there. If there is, they're obviously right on top of it as soon as they possibly can.